the donations and grants have been made to our institutions of higher learning that have resulted in some of them having large endowments can't continue into the future, because the income tax takes so much out of the income of every individual that there's little left in relation to the demand to meet the expanding needs of our higher educational institutions of higher education. Therefore, we get to the point where they must seek support in places other than what they've enjoyed in the past. That means they've got to go to the government or they've got to go to business. And I feel very strongly that American enterprise, both corporate enterprise and individual enterprise, has got a real responsibility to support our institutions of higher learning. And if they don't do that, they are bound to come under the government sooner or later, and therefore their activities are likely to be influenced by the political consideration. And outside of the purely educational aspects of our educational institutions of higher learning, they make a very important contribution in research, in studying the problems of our society, because they have the talent to do it. They live in an atmosphere that's conducive to that sort of thing. And that's true not only in the scientific institutions, but in the academic institutions as well. I think it's a fact that before the war, comparatively little basic research was conducted in this country. Most all our great fundamental discoveries in basic research have had a foreign aspect to it. We've been great capitalizers of the work of foreign research, but we haven't been creators. But now we're getting into the creative stage. And the point I want to make is that we must look to our educational institutions of higher learning, because as I said before, they have the talent, they operate in a climate that's conducive to fundamental study, they have the time, and everything's in their favor to develop this basic research, which hasn't immediately any industrial application. When business supports an educational institution, it doesn't follow through and attempt to control the thing. It's not interested in that. It's interested in the end result. On the other hand, I think if our the financial support and ultimately the control of our educational institutions moves over to the government, the political factor becomes more significant than the business factor. If you go back to the period I was talking about before, say 50 or 60 years ago, there was a tremendous reward for a tremendous accomplishment. That's what made America possible. There was the maximum incentive to do the biggest job that our energy could develop. But through the process of time, that has been changed. And through the impact of our very high income taxes, we've reached a point in this country where it's very difficult for a man, no matter how much ability he may have, no matter how much imagination he has, almost without regard to how much good fortune he may have, to get much of a competence when he retires. The most he can expect is to have a reasonable high standard of living while he lives. And that's bringing American industry to the point where we're getting into pensions and all kinds of things to try to protect the future of these men and who are leaders and who contribute so much to the management and development of these great enterprises upon which the progress of our society depends. It's a real problem to meet and to recreate the incentive that we had 50 or 60 years ago when we had a generous reward for a big job. And I'm inclined to think that, for a young man who has a flair for selling, has reasonable amount of executive ability to run a business, I think the opportunity that offers the most through life and in a competence after life is to obtain the franchise of a good automobile, preferably in a comparatively small city. That offers an opportunity to capitalize the man's ability on his own account. It gives him a position in the community, and it also gives him an opportunity to develop a business and retain such profits as are proper in the development of the business, and ultimately to capitalize them on a capital gain basis rather than to pay out the taxes and pass the great majority of them, or more than that, over to the government. As a matter of fact, I think that the young man who has those qualifications, was ambitious and willing to work hard, will be better off in his years when he retires following that route than he would even if he became a top executive in an important industrial organization with a big salary.